Hi and welcome to this week's YouTube vlog from me at Barton All Burner Services, and I hope you bobbers are all okay. Thanks for everyone that subscribed last week as always, and thanks for the comments. We had some lovely comments, thank you. I'm sorry it wasn't the normal sort of vlog where we were doing boilers and burners and basically we're sitting in the van and having a sing along, but we've done that because basically last week was so busy, we wanted to put something up and we thought, do you know what, let's just have a little jolly so you can see just a little different side of us, and that we can also have some fun as well as the serious side of us. So that's what we've done. So moving quickly on to this week's vlog, as you can guess, it's silly season. You know, it's just gone 7 o'clock at night. It's been absolutely mad. It's really cold here. We haven't had the snow, but it is -1 outside at the moment. I've just been to a Thermocon wall-mounted 30-year-old boiler with a down-facing burner. I went there, very straightforward, no pump pressure. Checked the filters. One of them was blocked, one wasn't. Washed the washable one out that wasn't, changed the other one, checked the pump pressure again, basically no fuel pressure, it was on a Tiger loop, checked all that, put a new pump on, got my pump pressure back, however the boiler didn't fire. Put a new nozzle in it to make sure that wasn't blocked, and it still didn't fire. There was no fuel getting into that burner. I don't know if we are aware of the Ecoflam burners. Basically there's a chrome nut which is just after the pump where it goes onto the actual pump, the nozzle holder. I cracked that undone and it absolutely hammers out of there. So basically the nozzle holder is blocked, so that's where we're at. That's something I can't do easily. Luckily we do have a nozzle holder at the office. It was starting to rain as well, so I've took the decision to pull the burner away and take it to the workshop and rebuild it. So yeah, the customer's really happy about that. They don't want a new boiler, they can't afford a new boiler, they don't have to have a new burner that's sort of £500-ish by the time it's all fitted and the labour, etc. So I'm just going to do a gentle rebuild of the burner, check things through, see what needs changing, update it all, and then it should run absolutely fine. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. I'm going to be doing the rebuild with you, and then one of my sons tomorrow will be putting the burner back on, firing it, testing it, and showing you the actual boiler and that side of it. So that's what we're doing this week. I hope you enjoy it. I'm not going to bore you anymore because I normally do. Let's get on with this week's vlog. Okay, so we're in the workshop. Here we go. So here is the Ecoflam burner. It's the minor one. It's for the 6080. And it's a down firing burner. Okay, so obviously it fires down, that's why your air intake is up there. So as you can see already, if I flip that over there, I've already changed the pump. Okay, as I explained to you on my intro, I was getting good pump pressure in the end. I wasn't at the beginning, but when I undone this nut here, which is your one for your nozzle, it's your nozzle tube that goes all the way to your holder, it comes out there full pelt. Okay, so what's happened here is that's blocked because it's a nearly 30-year-old pump. The original one is taking it out, etc, etc. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to leave the pump in place because I've done all that and it's all checked. I know the motor bearings are okay. For people who's not familiar with this burner, if I come back a bit, there's your transformer there. There's your control box there. It's round here is your photocell, which is a little bit fiddly when you're trying to do it in the boiler. Okay, obviously your blast tube and nozzle, which is in the end there, which is no problem. Then there's your pump, your coil. Your air adjustment is here on these, upside down. We'll go like that. There's your air adjustment there. Okay, capacitor motor. So they're quite straightforward. They're quite a good system. They work really, really well. So we're going to crack on now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to undo that there, and this will then fold back and show everything that's underneath it. I'll do that because I'm one-handed a little bit, so I'll do that and be back. Okay, gloves on. They're undone. Okay, so I'm going to fold this back now. The first thing you have to be careful with on these is when you actually pull it back, if you look just here, you'll see a little rubber grommet. There you go, and it's popped. Okay, so make sure that that goes back in, because if it doesn't, when it's down, you can see there's a hole there, then you get combustion gases come by, and when it's inside a boiler that's like room sealed, so to speak, it then sucks back in and goes straight to the air intake. Right, so that's your first little trick there. Don't lose them. Okay, usually they end up inside the burner. Okay, so what we're going to do is, here's the nozzle assembly here. Goes round there, and into there. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the HT leads. One. And... oh, that's a bit tighter. Number two. Make sure they're supple, which they are. A bit stiffer than normal because obviously it's blooming freezing. It's like 0 degrees in here. Okay, and obviously make sure that lead's okay. And then check the transformer. You're looking for cracks on the transformer. I'll give that a proper look. That's a scratch. I'll give it a proper look over in a minute. And then I will be looking on this side as well and having a good look at that in a second. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the blast tube off. Okay, we'll just put that back for a second. Doink, like so. To get the blast tube off, you've got one Allen key there, and you've got one Allen key on that side. So I'm just going to nip them off and then, or undo them a little bit and then slide the blast tube out and I'll be back. So I've nipped them undone. If anyone wants to know the size then, they're 3mm Allen key, all right? So we get hold of this and we take it off. Now, really important, when these go back on, the most important thing in the world, see there's a little novelty bit sticking out there. That lines up with that bit there. You can get them wrong and you can force them in. And if you do that and you turn it over, you can see there is where the nozzle goes through. I'll put that down. Just there, and if you're not careful and you get it wrong and you force it in, one, it doesn't sit correctly, and two, the electrodes end up touching that and then it doesn't go. So this is the little pump we're going to change here. Okay, this is the nozzle I put in earlier. I'm actually going to take that out because that's actually a 6.0 nozzle, but it's a Danfoss one. These is designed for Delavans, but I'd run it a 6060A nozzles, so I've been to the office and picked some of them up as well. So Thermocons, most Thermocons, especially the wall mounts, they did the early ones on these burners run on Delavan nozzles. When they're at factory, they're set up on Delavans, so it's always good to use them. Yes, Danfoss works, but Delavan, for some reason, just seems a little bit better. So my advice is stick to what's in there. As I say, I use that. That would have always been temporary. It would have worked, but I would have come back and changed it because we're just a bit like that. So what I'm going to do is now, as I say, we need to remove this. Quite straightforward-ish, okay? If we look down there, you'll see there's a bar down there. If I can just zoom in a little bit. And that locates into a slot, okay? And obviously, all this assembly here is what comes out here. To get this out, as you can see, it sort of wiggles around a bit at the minute. If we turn the burner over, you will see, gently, there's an Allen key there. I'm going to undo that now, and if I go back inside, you will see here's the other part there that goes down and it goes onto there. Okay, so I'm going to undo it. This will then fold up here and then it will come out once I've just undone the nut there, and that's 12mm, that chrome nut. All right, so I'm just going to undo that, undo the bit there, and I'm going to slide it forward with you and I'll be back. So I've undone the bolt at the back. It's only a short bolt, look like so. It's 5mm for the Allen key, and I've undone the 12mm as well there. The idea is this is now loose. You have to sort of pull the photocell out as well, out the way, like so. And then you've got to sort of flip it to one side, spin it, and then they come out like so. And there we go. Okay, that is your nozzle assembly. Now, they don't actually block in this line here. They actually block in this bit here. There's like a funny ball bearing in there as well. Okay, they just block solid in there. You can try compress there and everything, but normally when they block and you can do nothing about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to whip the nozzle out anyway. I'm going to whip this electrode off. I'm going to change this electrode because this is made of like Bakelite plastic. And there's been a conversion kit out for absolutely ages. Then they're made of ceramic. For these are common to go. So while I'm at it, I'm going to change them because they are starting to burn. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my mouth over there while compressor. I'm going to try and blow through it to confirm it is the fault. And then we will go from there. And I'll be back. Okay, so I've got the nozzle out and there's what it is in there. I've tried a compressor on it, and to be honest, you can't get anything through there at all. Okay, so that is absolutely block solid. Luckily, I do have a new one, so here's the new one here. But if anyone else never needs to do it, there's your part number there, look. Okay, you can see I've had this one a while because I bought 5 of them. So look, I've had that since 2019. And we get them from, it might be easier for you, from Abco. That's where we get them from, look there. So I'm not sure if you can still buy them or not. I don't know. It comes like that. We've just got to undo the little screw here. And obviously we've got to get that off there, because as you can see, that needs to come off and be transferred over like so. And then the other thing with this as well is that you can see it's missing the nut and olive, which is there. And they're not standard nut and olives at all. So it just so happens that there we go. There is the nut, because you either buy the nut like so, and there is the part number if you need it. And then the olive is in another Mahusive bag. And as you can see, it's that tiny little bit in there. And that is the part number there, if anyone ever wants them. So what I'm going to do is now, I'm just going to undo that tiny little Allen key that's there. I want to say it's a 3mm. And then we're going to withdraw this shaft from here. We're going to transfer it over onto the new one. and then I should be back. Okay, so that's now transferred over and I've put it into a vise. Only very gently though, obviously. I'm now going to change the electrodes over. Now, for people that aren't aware, this burner also used to come in a red version. The red version was very slightly different. These sort of fitted both of them, but if you look, I'll do it on the old one, you've got two holes, one each side here, one there and one there. And they took individual electrodes, okay? Just there and just there. Years ago, they had individual single electrodes, and that's where they were done up there and gripped them, okay? But then they'd done the conversion kit, which obviously, this was one of the early ones that was done, but it's one of the originals because of the colour of the electrode block. This is now your conversion kit. So basically, you get that plate on the bottom, you get two screws, you then get obviously your electrode block here, the cover for the top, along with your piece of rubber there, which is like an insulation there. For people that want to know where you get them from, because we keep them on our vans, then that is the kit. I'm doing well on my part numbers today, aren't I? Okay, so what I'm basically going to do first is I'm going to put this piece on top of here, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to put one screw in here, and I'm going to put one screw in here, which are these ones here. Once I've done that, I'm then going to put this on the top like so, and that will sit there on there like so. And then once that's done, we'll have the rubber and we'll have the top, which goes on like that. And then obviously this screw here goes through the middle, goes onto there and goes through. I'm just going to stick all that in and I'll be back. Voila, all done there. Okay, so I'll just zoom in on that for you. There we go. The reason I do this first and not when it's in position is because actually where you adjust it ends up sitting. If I just pop that back in, it ends up sitting just there, look, so you can't actually get to it. So that's why it's always good practice to do it first. And there's a slot on these and it sits approximately 3/4 of the way forward. That's where they sit, and you'll just know if you've got it right, because once the nozzle's in and then once we put it back again and put it all together, then obviously the gapping of the blast tube, which is here, we'll see the electrodes just stick sort of between the middle of the nozzle and that edge there. They'll be sort of in between and they'll just poke through very slightly proud, and then we'll know exactly if we're right or not. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop the nozzle in, which is a 6060A, which is voila. Okay, and then once I've done that, we'll get back to putting it back together again. Okay, the nozzle's in and you can see the electrode sort of sits just a little bit proud there, like so. It's always good to compare it to the old one. I've put the nozzle back in and that's like that, the same. So they are exactly the same. I knew where they go anyway, but it's always good just to do that, and it's good practice because obviously I know it worked on the other one before. So that's where it is. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get hold of this and we're going to pop it back in. What we can't do is mess around and touch the end of the nozzle now. So we're just going to pop it back in again nice and gentle. And we do need to be very, very gentle with it and pop it through. Okay, I'm not worried about where this goes at the moment. We can sort that out in a minute. So again, you mustn't grab the nozzle. So we're just going to come through. We're going to spin round. And we're just going to line it up. Just need to bend it out of the way a little bit. There we go. It's only copper. Right, you can see that's now located. Okay, because that goes backwards and forwards. That's located. And then I've lined it up with that part there. And I'm just going to stick the screw in and I'll be back. Okay, that's back in. I've given the blast tube a quick clean there. And you can see through the middle of the blast tube, which is actually this side, you've got that little cutout, okay? That cutout goes where the electrodes are. So we're just going to try and put that over there like so. If you remember, I said to you about a little knobble. Okay, that's the little knobble there. That's got to line up with that there. So I'm just going to gently push that back into place. When I've done that, I'll be back. Okay, that's back in. You can see that's in a nice position there. And the electrodes sit nicely, ready to go. This nozzle can go backwards and forwards a little bit if you want to. And basically, where we put this shaft into the back of the nozzle holder there, it can be adjusted. Okay, I have just moved it very slightly, but that's in the correct position now. So I'm happy with that. What I'm now going to do is, obviously, I'm going to do my two Allen keys up there to hold this into place, and the next thing I'm going to do is wipe, which I've done already, and put the photocell back. Now this is the QRB1 photocell. This is the red one. You can get them in black. Red is basically high sensitivity. Okay, red is better. There you go. Because black ones, if it's a really cold day, they don't always pick up the flame when they first fire in the morning. And if you ever change them, you can see the lead goes under this tiny piece of metal here. The new one must go back there. Because what happens if it doesn't, when you put the burner back in again, that can get stuck on there. and then you put it all back together, you'll think it's fine, and you come back a week later because it's gone bang, and that's melted and gone through and sparked and blown the electrics. So a little tip there, that must stay in there, look, like so. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it over again. This I need now to move. Okay, so I'm going to just manipulate that into this here, into here, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to line it up with there. I'm then going to get the chrome nut and olive, and when I've got them, I'll be back to show you what I'm doing next, if the burner stays in one place. Okay, I'm all manipulated into place, and here we go. One nut, one olive. Nut on first, 12mm nut this. Never over tighten these, because if you do, they crack. And this is a funny old olive, it doesn't go right over. So if I just put it on here, it just pushes on to the end and that's it. Then the idea is I'm going to put that there, I'm going to put that on there, I'm going to hold it in place, I'm going to nip it up tight, and that will not leak. No need to PTFE it, they're really, really good fit. They never cause me a problem, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to get that nipped up, so I need to concentrate, and then I'll be back to you on to the next bit. Okay, I'll be totally honest, that normally takes me 5 minutes. That's just taking me 25 minutes, okay? That was an absolute pain. For some reason, I couldn't line it up. I normally can, but I couldn't. But as you can see, it comes up, little kick back there, little kick back there, there. Nice and tight over there and into there like so. Next thing is HT leads are going back in. So we're just going to push one in like so. Make sure they go on tight, which that one has. I'm going to pop this one on. Oh, and that one's gone on tight as well. I'm just going to check this transformer because I've just noticed something, a bit of black and darkening down the side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to undo them 4 screws there, okay, and then I'm going to remove the transformer, and we're going to have a little investigation and go from there. Okay, I've just removed it, and I've had a good look around it, and I thought there was some burn marks there, but actually it's in really good condition. It looks filthy dirty, but there's actually nothing wrong with it. These are really common to split. Normally, if I turn it over here, actually, if I do it the correct way and hook that back in again, where the HT leads go, they usually crack across there, so it's one to look out for. If you're ever changing one, always get a plug-in one. This has had one before because it's a plug-in, but when they come from manufacturer, normally they're like solid hardwired in. When you buy new ones, you can either get ones that are hardwired in, or you can get them with separate leads. So if you take this part number, the T125-1, that is with the lead. Okay, that's the one you need. Okay, so that's always good, because at the end of the day, if you've got one that is hardwired in anyway, then obviously you can wire the new lead in, and then if one goes in the future, you can just plug another one in. Whereas opposed to this one here, which is the plug-in, it's nice and easy if I was to change it. But I'm just going to put my 4 screws back in, put the plug back in, and then we can carry on. Okay, that's back together. So this is the trick now. So it's going to go back. You've got to fold all these leads in. However, none of the leads can cover where the photocell is down there. And don't forget, put your grommet back. So that's gone back on there nicely. My new line goes through there. The transformer leads there. And we basically just fold it down. Nice and gentle. Just push that lead down until it's secure and home. Okay. I'm going to put the 2 screws back, and then we'll go on to the next bit. Okay, we're back together. The final thing, when I was trying to reset this earlier, this kept getting stuck and messing around. So this is actually no good. Even though it'd probably be fine, we don't want to put them in the future, and we're just trying to make it so this burner just keeps running absolutely fine for the future. Just dropping back a step slightly. The motor I know is okay because I checked it earlier. I naturally always check for obstruction in here, so that side's been done. Obviously the fuel pump's got done earlier, which we know about because that's part of my procedure to get to the stage where I am now. I also check the capacitor. They're things I just naturally do. So whenever I do an oil pump, I always check a capacitor, because when you put a new oil pump on, it puts more pressure on the capacitor, and then it quite often pops them. So that is already done. So a lot of this burner has already been done, but this control box I am going to change. There is a special tool that slides over the top into here that you push down, and then you can pull the control box on, off even. But if you get a screwdriver and you put it down here like so, and you listen, click. Okay, and then if you put it in the bottom one and click again, you can just withdraw that off and that will work. So I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to put the new control box on. But then before I come back to you, I'm just going to give the burner a really quick clean, and then I'm going to put it into the test bed that's down here. Okay, I'm just going to put a different feed into it to wire a flow and return in, not wire, put a flow and return oil lines on as well, and then we'll be able to fire it and see if this beast goes, shall we? I'll be back in a little bit. So it's on the test bed, it's ready to go. We've got my flow and returns in, and let's see what happens. So the first thing we just need to fire it. So here we go. So as you can see, we've got a spark there, which is nice. And then after sort of 10 seconds, 15 seconds, it should fire. That's the idea. I don't have to fire it for long, we just need to know it's going to go. So there we go. So as you can see, we've got an absolutely lovely flame there. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Right, so we know that it's working. It's absolutely fine. I'm really happy with that. And yeah, I'm just going to disconnect it. Okay, so it's all done and back together. I've put the original wire back in as well, and it's all done, good to go. So let's have a little recap. I've done a control box. I had to do the pump when I was on site. The most important thing and the reason for the main failure is obviously the nozzle holder, which starts down here, goes up and goes in there, and I've shown you how to change that. This boiler runs on a 6060A nozzle, approximately 110 psi, 11% CO2. One of my sons will be sorting that out first thing in the morning. He'll show you through the rest of it and show you how it all goes back together on the boiler, and a bit about the Thermocon external wall-mounted boiler. He'll show you the tiger loop there as well, and the pipe work's a bit of a mess there, but that's a story for another day. But he might cover that with you and show you what needs doing there as well. So I'm going to bed, it's nearly 10 o'clock, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Hello everybody, it's the next morning. Absolutely freezing cold and it's a frost, as you can probably see. Here we have the burner that Robert sorted out last night. I'm sure he explained to you exactly what he did, but we'll go over it again quickly. The main problem here was the nozzle line from the pump here to the nozzle here, and it had a blockage, not in this pipe here, in the actual nozzle holder in there. So Robert spent quite a few hours last night trying to clear that nozzle line, because obviously they're really hard to get hold of anything for them anymore. He's also put a new oil pump on it because it just had so much sludge, so much dirt in it that it was no good trying to survive it. Now look at all this as well. Look, that tiger loop, look at the state of that, look at that. Absolutely terrible. But obviously it's an elderly lady, and we need to do minimum as we can to make her nice and warm again. I believe Robert's got this all ready for us, so all I have to do is connect these two oil lines, because obviously we have a tiger loop, which means we have a flow and a return. So I've just got to connect them on the flows and returns. We'll run it up, test it up, and check the radiators and make sure we get this very loyal customer nice and warm again.
Look where our granddad, or Rodney, has written in the past everything that he's done, and he's even done little symbols for the weather. I can't really reach up there, but I think that's really sweet.
We've got the burner in place. Haven't done the nuts up yet. Let's get the flows and returns on like this. Because Robert was here last night, he's done me a solid, and he's put a cable tie on the flow. Now I'm noticing on here, you might not be able to see that, Isabel. Should I show them? So you can see here on this flue, don't know if you can see that very well. If you can see all that sort of rusty looking crust. Now I believe that the seal behind here has gone, again meaning that it's leaking fumes, and being that this isn't a balanced flue one, you know, you just know it's going to happen. It's going to leak fumes, it's going to suck it in. Boiler's going to drop out and refire continuously. It's going to ruin the nozzle, and we're going to be back. So I'm just going to put a beader sealant around there to temporarily stop that from happening. Lovely.
I'm cold.
Return is on. Let's get the flow on if it ever goes up. It's a bit sad really, because again, external wall hung Thermocon. You know, back in their day, I really don't think you could have beat something like this. Outside, compact, lovely. But as you can see, look, we're starting to get rust. Bit of bubble rust. Can't help but thinking it's probably dribbling out of there and rotting it out. Yeah, as much as we don't want to say this to the customer, I think really this boiler's going to need changing in a year or two. But we're going to get it up and running, and we're going to get it nice and warm anyway. So Isabel has now joined me up on the step ladder.
I have.
And this is what we're looking at. I've got the flows and returns connected nice and neat now. And for all you engineers out there, I'm sure you know this too well. Now as we can see, we've got one 13mm nut there, which obviously holds the burner in place like that. But also behind it, we have the identical thing to that back here. So what you've got to do is, with your nut, trying to get back here, sort of put the nut on like that, and then sort of get it going. But the problem with that is obviously you can't get a proper spanner in there to do it up. So we have actually, which I haven't got on me right now, we have actually got special little 13mm spanners purely for this boiler, this burner on this boiler. So any engineers out there, if you know how much of a pain they can be to get in sometimes, comment below and tell us. Because I'm convinced I'm not the only person that finds this really difficult sometimes. The trick of the trade here is don't do that one up fully yet. Give the burner a wiggle and keep doing up the back one as tight as you can. Every time you wiggle it up, you'll get a little movement out of it again. And then what some people do is once they've got that as tight as possible with their hands, Once you sort of pull that side down with this one, which obviously you can get a 13mm spanner to, quite often it actually pulls it enough to seal it, so you don't actually have to do this one up really, really tight. So it means next time, hopefully you can get behind it and sort of undo it. But again, sometimes they do leak. But yeah, I'm going to go get my special spanner and we're going to do it properly. Right, so flows and returns are in. Got the nuts done up. Really simple stuff. Burner's back in. Hopefully Dad's done a good job, so it means I haven't got to take it back out again. We've got one plug here, obviously. But before we plug it in, we go for it. I can't remember what Robert said. I don't know if he turned the oil on and off, or off, or how he's left it. So we're just going to have a little look. By the looks of it, he has turned the tank off. Right, so obviously, Robert, as we can see, has left the tank turned off. With these, I'm sure we showed you these before in a vlog, but these are actually backwards threads. They're a wheel head fire valve, and obviously you assume you turn it left to undo it, and you turn it right to do it up. But on these, it's left to do it up and right to undo it. Right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to plug it in like that. Again, this probably will need venting. Oh, well that needs a setup, doesn't it? Looks like the pump pressure is probably a bit too high on this new pump. Let's get our pump gauge in there and let's set it out correctly, as well as my analyzer. Right, so I've just got this test port undone here. I'll slide my pump gauge in there as easy as that. Make sure you put a load of PTFE on there, because then usually once it gets tight, it's the wrong way round. If you use a bit of PTFE, you can put it where you want, just like that. Right, my kit all warmed up. Right, let's go. So on one of these, I am aiming for sort of a 110-ish PSI. As you can see, that's a lot higher at the moment. Let's have a little look at the fire, make sure it's all alright. Lovely jubbly. Right, so let's count this. 5, 10. Right, so it's 115 at the moment, which I'm assuming is obviously what they come preset to. So we're just going to grab a little thing like this, look. I'm just going to use the pump adjuster here and just take that down 0.5 of a bar, if she ever wants to go. There we go. Right, we've got the right pump pressure now. Let's have a smell. Smelling alright, not burning my eyes. Right, let's get this machine in here. So a boiler like this should be set up to about sort of 10.5 CO2. It's looking like my kit hasn't froze, which is nice, because I forgot to take it out of my van last night. Look at that, we're getting there already, look. You have to leave it for a little while, especially when it's cold. You need to let it warm up. We've had a little issue because basically after trying to let the boiler warm up for a minute, obviously to get the right readings, I've noticed that on my pump gauge, if we reset it quick, I'll show you. My pump gauge isn't totally still, isn't stable. It's doing a bit of this, and I'll show you. Right, so as you can see, my pump gauge is going up. This is the pre-purge, so it'll go a bit higher yet. It's getting a bit of a wibble there already, look. Just about fired up, look. Wait for it. See that? Now that gauge there is supposed to be stable. It's not supposed to move at all. As you can see, that's got a right wibble on, indicating to us. Did you hear that? It's there. Indicating to us that we've still got a blockage somewhere. Now, last night, obviously, Robert went through the filters, all the oil lines, everything here up to the tie glue. So obviously what's happened is all this sludge has gone through one filter, all through the lines, through this filter, somehow made it through the fire valve, all the way through, and it's obviously totally filled this up. Now, because it's so old, I mean, we just can't see in there, but saying that now, it's rather going to be totally sludged up, so the oil's not getting by, or it's going to have water in it and it's frozen. So one or the other. Either way, you can't take tiger loops apart, so we're going to have to replace that, to which we're going to do right now. All right? And then we can get a something under it to catch all the all the oil. Just remember to, obviously, if you ever change on a tiger loop, remember to mark which one's flow, which one's return, just in case you forget when you put your new one in. If you ever change on a tiger loop, you always get oil everywhere, so just make sure you're catching it. But if you can be smart enough about it like this, turn it upside down. Look at that, no oil on the floor, no excuses. As we can see, we've got a new tiger loop on here now. That one is definitely faulty. I have triple checked, and I know it sounds mad, but I have just triple checked my dad's work yesterday to make sure that it hasn't pulled any more sludge through. And it hasn't. I'm going to change that though, because that doesn't look great. Another thing we like about these tiger loops is the fact that the actual fitting is a quarter. It's a quarter fitting. And these are also quarter fittings, so it means you just take the fittings out, put them in a new one, the same nuts, and you obviously ain't got to worry about it.
Ryan's adding to the tradition.
Pump. Oh yeah, oil pump. As we can see, nice new tiger loop on there now. I have, as you can see, vented it, so we've got the flow vented. Have had it on for a sec just to fill that up so we can get a proper run. Again, my gauge is still in there, nice and tight. Got my kit warmed up, we're ready to go. Let's see if this this is going to work this time. Nice pump pressure, as you can see, straight up. Now before it was starting down here and then eventually rising. See, it still needs a bit of a setup. Now that is still roughly where I left it, so that's lovely. About 110 PSI on these. Get my kit in there. As we can see, that needle's not moving at all anymore. Okay, so finally we are there. Where we last left off, I believe we were testing the boiler. To which, as you can see now, Isabel, the boiler's running beautifully.
Lovely.
Very, very happy. No smoke, so we've got all the air out, everything's good. We put a new tiger loop on there because obviously we weren't getting an oil flow through there. Obviously you've already seen what's happened on that burner with Robert's part of the vlog. We did have a slight problem because the boiler's been off for about sort of 24 odd hours now. The circulation pump obviously had lots of air in it, and all the system upstairs have got slightly airlocked, so I just had to quickly unplug the pump, plug it back in a few times, move that air to the radiators, eventually vented all the radiators, got all the air out, got it circulating again, got all the radiators hot, to which now the boiler's running for a very, very long time, because obviously it's circulating and running properly now. And yeah, I'm really, really happy with the results. Like I say, very, very loyal, wonderfully amazing customer of ours who's been with us, well, about 20 years now, to be honest. So yeah, that's basically it from us. You've seen full scratch, arrive at the job, find the problems, take it home, go through it all. Me and Isabel have returned, got it all up and running again. Back to Robert, I guess.
And that's this week's YouTube vlog. Done from us at Button Burner Services, and I hope you enjoyed it. And as you can see, it's now the following evening. I've just got home, it's like 9:30, and I've just noticed the neighbour has put some Christmas lights up, which is fantastic. There we go. So yeah, silly season is here. It's been absolutely a manic week. That one sort of went to plan. It started off as what I thought was quite a straightforward breakdown. Then it had to go to the workshop and obviously have the nozzle assembly and that done. Ryan went bad today. Unfortunately, we did have to end up changing the tiger loop and we had to chase our tails a little bit there. But the main thing is it's up and running now. Very happy customer. You know, we first got the call out 4:30, 5 o'clock yesterday. I rocked up within sort of a couple of hours, and by, you know, sort of 11, 12 o'clock today, it's all up and running again. So we'll take it. One very, very happy lady. Please feel free to comment as always, and subscribing. We love people that subscribe. Anyway, I'm going to go and have a shave now because I need one. And until next week, and have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe.